Ever found yourself saying yes to something only to wonder later, wait, why did I agree to that? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on the psychology of persuasion. We're not talking about some unknowable mystery, but a set of very real, very powerful tools that you can learn to spot and understand. All right, let's get into it. So this quote, this really honest confession, comes from the man himself, Dr. Robert Cialdini. You might think the world's leading expert on influence would be immune to it, right? Nope. He admits he was an easy mark, always getting roped into buying stuff he didn't want. And it was that personal frustration that drove him to go undercover, to work inside sales teams and fundraising organizations to figure out the secrets of what makes us all tick and what makes us say yes. Now get a load of this story. It just breaks all the rules of business, doesn't it? You've got a store with good quality jewelry, it's peak tourist season, and crickets. Nothing is selling. The owner, frustrated, decides to just cut her losses and slash the prices in half. But an employee misreads her note and doubles the price instead. And the craziest thing happens, the entire lot sells out almost overnight. How on earth does that work? Well, the answer isn't in economics. It's deep inside our brain. So to crack that jewelry mystery, we need to look under the hood. We've got to understand the basic operating system our brains use every single day to navigate a massively complicated world, our automatic shortcuts. I mean, think about it. We're just bombarded with information and decisions every second of the day. If we had to stop and consciously analyze every single choice, we'd be totally paralyzed. So, to cope, our brain develops these rules of thumb, these mental shortcuts to help us out. And this is really the foundation of how we behave as consumers. Dr. Cialdini came up with this really memorable name for this whole process. Click, whir. Think of it like a simple machine. Some specific trigger in our environment, that's the click, and boom, it activates a pre-recorded tape of behaviors. That's the whir. And the whole sequence just runs automatically without us even really thinking about it. And this is where it gets kind of wild. This shows just how deep these triggers go. A mother turkey will protect and nurture her chicks, but her maternal instinct is triggered almost entirely by one thing, the cheep cheep sound they make. Get this, scientists found she will even embrace her mortal enemy, a stuffed polecat, as long as it has a recorder inside that plays that cheep cheep sound. For us humans, a simple word like because can do the exact same thing. We're so conditioned to believe that when someone asks for something, they have a reason, that just hearing the word because makes us way more likely to say yes, even if the reason that follows makes absolutely no sense. Click. Whir. Okay, so let's bring it all back to that turquoise jewelry. Those tourists, they probably didn't know a thing about jewelry quality, so they fell back on a simple shortcut they've used their whole lives. Expensive equals good. You get what you pay for, right? The high price tag became the trigger for quality. Click, the price is high. Whir, it must be good stuff. And here's the crucial part for any business owner or marketer. While these shortcuts help us, they also make us incredibly vulnerable to anyone who knows how to push those buttons on purpose. But look, this isn't some bug in our programming. It's actually a feature. These automatic behaviors are absolutely essential for us to function in our fast-paced world. The trick is just to understand them so we can make sure they're working for us and not for someone else. All right, so now that we get the whole click, whir idea, let's look at the most powerful triggers that sales pros and marketers use. These are the big ones. Cialdini calls them the 6 weapons of influence. So after all his research, Cialdini realized that the thousands of tactics he saw all boiled down to just 6 core psychological principles. First, reciprocity. That's our deep need to repay a favor, like when you get a free sample at a store. Then there's commitment and consistency, our powerful drive to stick with a decision we've made. Third is social proof, looking to others to decide what to do. Think 5-star Amazon reviews. Then we have a liking. It's simple. We're just more likely to say yes to people we know and like. Number 5 is authority. We tend to obey experts and figures of authority. And finally, scarcity. That fear of missing out on something if it's in short supply. And this is the real genius of it all. The best persuasion isn't about arm twisting or being pushy. It's way more subtle. It's like jujitsu. A master persuader uses the power of our own natural tendencies and mental shortcuts to get us to comply. And often, we don't even notice it's happening. So let's zoom in and put a spotlight on a couple of the most common ones you'll see out in the wild. All right, first up, let's talk about the contrast principle. This one is so effective because, honestly, you almost never see it coming. It works by quietly changing the way we perceive the value of something. So, put yourself in this salesperson's shoes for a second. Your customer wants both items. What do you sell them first? Your gut might tell you to start with a cheaper sweater, right? Get them warmed up. But the psychology tells you to do the exact opposite. And there it is. Once you've already committed in your mind to spending almost $500 on a suit, what's another $95 for a sweater? It seems like nothing. The price of that second item isn't judged on its own. It's judged in contrast to the much bigger price tag that came right before it. And once you know about this, you will see it everywhere. Real estate agents will show you a couple of overpriced, rundown setup houses before they take you to the one they actually want you to buy. By comparison, that third house looks like a palace. Car dealers do the same thing. They get you to agree on the big number, the price of the car, before they start adding on all the smaller, seemingly trivial options like floor mats and window tinting. Okay, next up is one of the most powerful psychological forces there is. It's this deep, almost obsessive need we have to be and to appear to be consistent with what we've already done or said. This is the classic play that uses the consistency principle. It's called the foot in the door technique. The strategy isn't to go for the big sale right away. Oh no. The goal is to get a tiny, seemingly harmless yes first. Because once someone has made a small commitment, they are way more likely to agree to bigger requests later on just to stay consistent with that initial decision. So check out this wild experiment. Researchers went door to door in a neighborhood and asked people if they would be willing to put up this huge, ugly "Drive carefully" sign on their front lawn. I mean, it was big and poorly made. As you'd expect, the vast majority of people, about 83%, said no way. But here's the twist. They went to a different group of homeowners in the same neighborhood. Now, 2 weeks earlier, this group had been asked to put a tiny 3-inch square sign in their window that said, "Be a safe driver." It was a tiny request, so almost everyone said yes. Now, when the researchers came back and asked this group to put up the huge, ugly billboard, an absolutely astounding 76% of them agreed. So what on earth happened? Well, that first tiny commitment had changed how those homeowners saw themselves. By agreeing to that little window sign, they subconsciously started thinking of themselves as, hey, I'm a good, public-spirited citizen who cares about safe driving. So 2 weeks later, when they were asked to put up the big sign, refusing would feel inconsistent with this new self-image they'd created. That tiny commitment had, as Cialdini says, grown its own legs. Okay, so we've seen how these weapons of influence can be used on us. The big question is, how do we defend ourselves without having to second-guess every single decision we make? Well, the answer isn't to get rid of our mental shortcuts. We'd be lost without them. The real key is just awareness. It's about learning to listen to your gut. When you feel that little twinge in your stomach that a compliance pro is trying to trigger one of your shortcuts, that's your signal. That's when you disengage the autopilot and consciously ask yourself, knowing what I know now, if I could go back in time, would I still make the same choice? I mean, here's a perfect example you see 1,000 times a day. Limited time offer, only 3 left in stock, sale ends Sunday. These phrases aren't just giving you information. They are expertly crafted weapons of influence. They're designed to trigger the scarcity principle, to create a panic that short-circuits your logical brain and pushes you into that emotional click-whir reaction to buy it right now before you miss out. So in the end, by understanding these principles, from reciprocation to scarcity, you're no longer just a target. You're an informed player in the game. The point isn't to become totally immune to influence. It's about being able to make conscious choices. When you can spot the tactic being used, you get to decide if you want that "were" to happen. And that right there is where the real power lies.
Subscribe for more actionable executive summaries, and if you want deeper insights and exclusive content, support the channel on Patreon. You'll find the link in the description.